I use my whiteboard a lot.
I am trying to plan my last article, and it's been really difficult actually because there's a lot of different ways I could go with it. And the main problem with my thesis is I've gone so many different ways, and I have to have some kind of red thread that holds it all together, and I haven't had that yet, but I think I found a way to do it, which kind of holds all of it together, and there's a main story that I'm trying to tell, but I'm having trouble finding how I'm going to tell this last piece of the story, and because I've still got all the data and I did one kind of analysis but didn't really work, so I'm trying something else right now. I could still go a few different ways with this, so I'm kind of doing a little, I'm sorry if I made you dizzy. That's the way I think I'm going to go with the paper. Here's more of where the whole thesis is going. I think I'm going to try to combine it all with liminal space, talking about performing identity and it letting you move through communities of practice easily, or not easily, but through the liminal spaces where you negotiate all of this. So I've got these papers so far. I've got paper I wrote with Lilia, where we just say there are spaces. It's not one big giant blogosphere. And then I've got a paper that I call my Kathy paper that I looked at the Kathy Sierra death threat meme and talked about how spaces are important because they influence language, which is the building blocks of online identity. And then I think that was more so before it became very visual, but the stuff that I'm looking at right now is still very textual, especially considering their blogs and early blogs. And then what I call my Annika chapter, which is just because that was the person I wrote her, it was her book that she edited. But it's on Belle de Jour and Bitch PhD and their construction of identity against how the mass media and other bloggers perceived them. So I'm talking about identity as a construct, and it's reflected by space and the actors in these different spaces. And because these different spaces and the actors in them have different expectations that can influence your identity construction. So then I've got this fourth one where I've got all of these academic blogs, and I've got these really beautiful visualizations of around almost 2,000 bloggers. And so where do I go with this? I've got that there are spaces. I've got spaces are important because it affects your language. I've got identities constructed differently in different spaces. So I've got this fourth one, and I'm doing a nexus analysis where I look at the historical body that this is the Skolin and Skolin methodology or framework. I'm not sure what you would call that. I think they call it both actually. Methodological framework, maybe? So where do I go with this last one? Do I talk about identity? Do I talk about social identity? What I was going to initially talk about was, authorship, and how scholarly discourse changes once it's performed through the blogging platform. And while that's really interesting, it doesn't really fit this. And I cannot write another chapter that doesn't fit when I finally found a framework. Where do I go with this? I'm supposed to give them my advisor something on Monday, but I think it's going to have to wait a bit while I figure this out, because this is important. I cannot go another direction, not this late in the game, not when I'm trying to really, really finish this off. So if you have any ideas, let me know.